Hi, my name is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News, and today we have Senator Dan Sullivan joining us. He is now representing District 20. A lot is happening right now. The session is about to begin. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator.
Well, thank you. And I'll tell you, I'm really excited about our new governor, about new appointments, about the energy that's in the Senate and the House, and just really look forward to us beginning the session coming on Monday.
Well, let's talk about that for a brief moment. I think that there was some hesitation amongst conservatives leading up to Sarah Huckabee Sanders' victory, and just unknowns. What is she going to do? Who is she going to bring in? And what are your thoughts on the most recent appointments? Some would say that this is a good indication.
Yeah, it's really good for news organizations. They can kind of make stories and start a line that they want. You know, the jury is out on how the Governor Sanders will govern. However, her appointments speak a lot to what she wants to do. She has said she wants big change, and she's brought people in from out of state who have experience and a history of making big change. I know you've seen it, and I've seen it. Those that say, well, we don't need these out-of-state people. They don't know Arkansas. That's just kind of a false line, a false narrative. The fact is that those secretaries can't do anything on their own. They can only make suggestions and work with the legislature, but any change will be approved, authorized, and legislated by the elected representatives of the people. So to say these people are going to come in, these new secretaries from out of state, and they don't know Arkansas, and their hair's on fire, they can't figure out what's going on. You know, our elected representatives will make those decisions. And I feel confident that we will work together to achieve big things in Arkansas.
That's exciting. She has made 3 recent appointments: Christy Putman for DHS, Jacob Oliva, Department of Education, and then most recently, Judge Joseph Wood for Department of Transportation. But probably the appointment that is getting the most traction and the most attention would be Secretary for Department of Education. What do you foresee the changes being coming up in this session?
Well, I think as the governor has said, school choice and letting the money follow the student, if you will, and funding students, not funding institutions. That's going to be big. Now, it will take a few years to implement the full scope of what the governor wants to do. But I've had conversations, of course, heard her speak a number of times privately and publicly. She fulfills her promises. What she says she's going to do, she's done. And I think there'll be really good things happen with early education, workforce education. I think they've got good plans for all those areas. And I look forward to hearing those plans as they roll out. You know, the governor will have a State of the Union speech on, I think it's Tuesday of next week. And I fully expect to hear more details come out there, and we'll see that program develop. You know, Mr. Oliva has a lot of experience in making significant change in the scores of children, in their reading scores and academic scores. You know, to say we don't need big change or we're going to burn things down, I've been in education for 30 years, and many of those here in Arkansas, and our reading scores have always been in the 30s, maybe the low 40s in some areas. But for people to say we don't need significant change, you know, I don't know what it is they're referring to. And it's time to bring in someone who has experience in doing that. That's not to say anything bad about our previous secretary. Secretary Key was a great man, worked hard, a good friend, and I trusted. He was always honest, straightforward with the people, and I wish him the best. But I think sometimes it's good for a change, and this Mr. Oliva says he's ready to make significant change. So let's get it on, and again, your legislators will determine what that significant change looks like.
Well, and let's talk about that for a brief moment. I've heard from you and several other key legislators that are excited about this. They are looking forward to school choice. Do you think that you may still meet any opposition from conservatives, particularly in the House, and in the Senate as well? Or do you think everyone's on the same page?
Well, no, I don't think anyone's ever on the same page.
You're right.
We all have our own ideas about what we
Yeah.
want to do, and that's it's like when our country was founded. Everybody had a different idea about what it looked like, but through compromise and hard work, we will find the best solution for our state. I think in the Senate we have 29 Republicans. So, coming to a consensus will basically be around those basic Republican ideas. Money following the child, empowering parents, as Governor Sanders has said. Those are the things we want to do. Now, what that looks like exactly, we'll work on that. I know there are a couple of models like Arizona, I think New Hampshire, and a few other states, Florida, have had some good models for us to follow.
Let's also talk about tax cuts. That is something that a lot of people are talking about as well, and we would like to see big things happen there. What do you think will happen?
Well, the same thing that has happened since I've been in the legislature. I think when I came in 8 years ago, the income tax rate was at 7%, and it's down 4.9, 4.5. I think we'll continue that move towards lowering the tax rate. However, again, that takes years to do that. Systems are slow to move, rightly so. So if we have a plan that lowers that tax rate for individuals more, lowers the corporate tax rate, by the time you factor in sales tax, property taxes, and other tax that our Arkansans face, we're getting very competitive. Regionally and nationally with our tax rate when you figure all those in. And it's very complex. I know Senator Dismayne has a good handle on that. Our new incoming president, Senator Hester, who I look forward to working with. I think we'll continue to move in that direction.
Great. Before we move on to something else that I want to talk to you about, there are a number of new legislators coming in. What advice would you give them coming up into session?
Well, the Senate we've already met several times and getting to know one another. It's a team, and you can't accomplish anything by yourself. As much as our opposition likes to talk about, well, we got a new secretary and they're going to blow the world up or set the world on fire. Government doesn't work like that. You work with people. I would suggest, as we have in the Senate, for new legislators to make a phone call, set up a meeting with legislators who've had some experience, develop those relationships. That's what it comes down to. I know I've talked with several of the new House members in the last few days and got 2 or 3 more meetings today with them just to get to know them so that they are comfortable. If I call them or they call me, we're comfortable sharing information.
Great. We are seeing parent organizations, not just here in Arkansas, across the nation, really affect change, particularly in the public education realm, helping kind of loosen that grip away from particular associations. And parents are making headway, fighting for the right to make decisions regarding their child's education. You mentioned to me that you are going to attend a meeting coming up. It's a Moms for Liberty organization there in Craighead County. A lot of excitement there. Tell us about their upcoming chapter meeting.
That's the 5th, later this week. It's on Thursday of this week, January the 5th at 6 p.m., I believe, in the First Community Bank Community Room on Southwest Drive. I hope folks will attend. We'll talk mostly about education, but other forums and other things that we can do to empower parents. It'll be an open meeting. Anyone, no charge. You're welcome to come. We'll talk mostly about education, but I'm sure we'll talk about libraries and taxes and other things also. I talked to our director here in Craighead County, Joni McNabb, and I'm really very impressed by what she's trying to do and wanting to get done. Talking about empowering parents and empowering folks to learn more. If you go into a school board meeting, most of them, you have to apply to speak 10 days in advance. And then you're limited on what you can talk about and how long you can talk. And I suggested to Joni that she invite the president of the school board and the superintendent to their meeting. That's empowering people. Then you set the agenda. You get to talk about what you want, and they get to respond. And people can submit questions ahead of time. So I think, things that Moms for Liberty and other organizations are doing are empowering people. And we need to look at things differently. And again, let parents control their child's education, whether that's in public school, private school, homeschool, public libraries. All those forums are places where parents are responsible, primarily responsible.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. We will post information about that meeting so people can find it and get involved. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
Yeah, we have legislation coming up. As some of your viewers know, that in the state of Arkansas, public school librarians and public librarians in your local public library currently are exempt from pornography law. They are the arbiter of what counts and what doesn't count as pornography, and they are the arbiter about where that shows up in the library.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have legislation that I'll be filing probably the first of the session that brings public librarians and private librarians just into the same form as the regular citizens, that they will now be subject to the laws of pornography. I can't imagine why we would have a law that exempts anybody from pornography, distributing pornography to children. I think that's big legislation. I hope to get a lot of support for it. And those that say we need to continue to exempt them, I really want them to answer why. I want to hear that, hear from our opposition why people should be able to provide pornographic material, sexually explicit material to our young children. Again, I appreciate what Conduit is doing. Always love coming on and look forward to the session starting and having some more of these conversations.
Absolutely. You'll have to come back and join us once you file that bill. Thank you so much, Senator.
Will do. Thank you.